Welcome back to another episode of Basic Money Podcast. His name is Josh.
This guy is Keith.
There you go. I was trying to catch you off guard.
You got me. We're good. Keep it going.
Okay, so today we want to talk about saving money.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know it feels like it's an intimidating subject for some people because they're like, I don't have any money to save. But I feel like they do. And why is that?
Because the basic answer is just don't buy shit.
It all makes sense now.
That's how you save money. You don't buy shit.
That's all I needed to do. We wanted to give you some quick tips on how you can save your money a little bit better.
Yep. So
you heard the first one.
Don't buy shit. And what I mean by shit is cut out all extraneous things. Do you need a Hulu, a Netflix, and Disney, and an Apple TV subscription all in one? Do you watch them all in one? Probably not. Trim out the excess there, and you could save yourself a quick $100 a month. A lot of the things that a lot of personal finance talk about is brown bagging or bringing your own lunch to work. Whatever that is, that technically saves you. If it costs you $2, $3, $4 to make your own lunch, it saves you from spending $20 to go out to eat. That right there is instant savings.
I'm such a big believer in meal prep to save money. My average spending on that is like maybe $45 for 10 meals. So break it down to what, $4.50 a meal, as opposed to spending $10 to $20 on your lunch or your dinner, wherever you're getting it from.
I know, and the sucky part is I just realized it like a few weeks ago, like how more expensive fast food has gotten over the last 10 years. That's just the things to be mindful of, to look at. So cut out the extra stuff that you're really not using or utilizing to its potential, and just use what you got. Be happy with it. Another quick tip is to shop your insurance once a year. Every year you get older, your insurance should go down, should stay the same. It shouldn't be increasing unless you're accident prone. Then that's the reason. It's not because you're getting older. It's because you suck. But shop your insurance once a year. Do it through a brokerage firm like My Policy Genius or some other platform that shops it around through different people. Because if you go to Geico, they're only going to sell you Geico products. If you go to State Farm, you're only going to see State Farm products. And they might say you're going to save with them, but you don't really know unless you shop them all to see. So that's a quick and down dirty way.
I feel like you can use that same philosophy in other services, like let's say like cable or internet, because I know a lot of companies, especially Cox in Las Vegas, they'll usually always price you high, and then when the annual membership fees come in the next year and you're like, so-and-so's offering me less, they're usually more keen to just say, okay, we'll match their price. So and the worst case, they'll tell you no, kick rocks, and you'll just say okay. But having that, I guess, a little bit more of a drive to say, okay, how can I save a couple more bucks each month? But then when you translate that into year and how many years you're going to have it for.
Or have the balls to switch. If they tell you, we can't match that, be like, okay, I'm leaving, and then switch to the cheaper one. So, it works that way. If you're really, really lazy, don't want to do the negotiation, or for some reason feel really intimidated and scared over a imaginary person on the phone, who is a real person, but in your mind you can do imaginary. Basically, there's things like Bill Shark or Trim or anything. They'll negotiate the rate for you. You, of course, will pay half the savings that you were going to get to them as part of negotiating for you.
That was Bill Shark?
Yeah, Bill Shark or Trim. Those are the two that I know that are just apps on the phone.
Nice.
They'll negotiate for you. And like I said, you'll get the savings, but your savings will be reduced by half because you're going to pay half of that savings to them as a service.
That's true, yeah.
So
long term, but either way.
Figure out to get some confidence to do it on yourself for the most savings. If you're really lazy, don't want to, there is that way to save a little bit less. Once you cut down the extra stuff and those things that you can shop around to try to see, the other ones are kind of harder because they have to do with your main core expenses, which are housing, utilities, food, and transportation. Housing, if you can, downsize. If you don't need such a big place, can find a smaller place for cheaper, downsize definitely. Get a roommate if possible, or even considering, renting out a room on Airbnb just to subsidize some of that and bring in some income. That can lower your housing expense. Usually people's housing expense is their biggest expense.
Yeah.
Next is food. That one, Keith can do a video about meal prepping and how he plans out that stuff, which will kind of show you. But if you're spending $400 to $500 on groceries and then also another $300 to $400 eating out, but you're still throwing away groceries because they went bad, you might find some ways to optimize that.
It's a matter of getting the food that you know is going to sustain you for the week, and it's trial and error, obviously. I would say the biggest tip in all of this is get food and cook food that you're going to eat. I know obviously that sounds like a no-brainer, but you have to make your food taste good, and there are ways that you can make your food taste good while still keeping them on a relatively healthy meal prep. So obviously I'll do another one.
Yeah, if you don't care about the health, just get a bunch of MSG. Makes everything taste delicious.
Right,
Trust the Asians on that. MSG.
Just gives you the headache of a lifetime afterwards.
That's only after a pound or so of it. Anyway, so you have downsizing, you have your grocery bills, and eating out, of course. Those are the two kind of that go in there. The next thing is transportation. That one's a little harder if you bought a car and you're upside down on it, or if you're leasing, you gotta look at buyouts. But otherwise than that, the main thing on that is if you really don't need a brand new car for your profession, then it's a cost. Get as cheap a vehicle as possible, as fuel efficient a vehicle as possible. Learn to not use your vehicle as much if your grocery store happens to be, 5 blocks away. Get some exercise. Go walk to the grocery store. Get your groceries. Walk back. You knock 2 birds out with 1 stone. You get exercise and you're not wasting money. Mm-hmm. So you can look at it that way. Also, you can try to downsize the car also. If you don't need a Suburban, maybe look at getting a compact car. Those are some simple ways on that. The last thing is the utilities. Change out your light bulbs to LEDs if you want to keep lights on. That's one cheap way. They cost upfront, but will save you monthly on that. Otherwise, just turn off lights. Check your thermostat temperature. Of course, you want to be comfortable, but be a little uncomfortable. So those are your main core things besides cutting other shit out. I mean, some good helpful tips. If you have a library in your town, which you pretty much should, sign up for it. You get free books, free movies, free ebooks. Yeah. You can download ebooks for free.
Not enough people utilizing libraries. Like, they're available, they're government funded, they have them.
You're already paying for it. Your taxes
You're already paying for it. Yeah. So like if you have a book that you want to read, like instead of going on Amazon and buying it and having it sit in your Kindle or sit on your shelf, sit in your bookcase and never read them. So it's utilizing free resources, I feel like, is a big deal.
And the last things would be if you had anything that you're not really going to use all the time. Like, it's not a utility thing for you, like a tool or a pitcher or something like that. You don't use all the time. You're going to use for an event, a party, or just for that one-time thing. See if you can borrow it from a friend. See if there's places you can get it for free, like Craigslist, OfferUp, anything like that. Just don't try to buy something you're not really going to use.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's important to note here that the perception of saving money, I feel like to some people could be seen as being cheap. When let's say you're trying to go out with friends, you're like, oh, we're gonna go out to eat, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna eat at home. I'll meet you guys after for
a
drinks or something.
Two, yeah.
And they're like, oh, why are you being cheap? Blah blah blah. I think if you're telling your friends or you're telling anyone that's gonna mention any sort of negativity towards you that you are looking to save money and you have a financial goal to save money, if anyone is giving you any sort of negative talk, then they shouldn't be in your life. But I would say that throughout this whole process, because I feel like it could feel cheap if I'm like, hey, can I borrow some things? But if you're a friend, yeah, sure, no problem, here you go.
Yeah. And just tell them up front too. You're like, hey, I'm not really looking to spend this. Or if you have something that they have, be like, hey, you can borrow anything that I have that you need to do. Do an exchange group. I mean, there's a lot of Facebook groups that do sharing stuff like that.
Yeah, and obviously then there's Facebook Market, Craigslist, things where you can actually go, and most of them, if you're looking for something, they'll be like, yeah, free if you pick it up.
Rather than going to Target, go to Goodwill. Look at just those little things. It might seem cheap. I mean, I'd rather have a crappy wallet with a lot of money in it rather than that high-end wallet with no money in it. Your goal, I mean, unless it's like for the rest of your life, your goal are temporary things. 6-month stretch, a year stretch, 2-year stretch, 5-year stretch, whatever it is. It's only that stretch that you're doing for. And we're not talking about depriving yourself of things.
Yeah.
We're talking about just finding other ways rather than just going to the default of, oh, I'm gonna go buy it. I'm gonna go buy it. Another one also is on Amazon. They've made it so easy to just buy things with one click. Put things in your cart. Wait a couple days. See if you really need it. And another tip to add on to that is get the Honey extension. H-O-N-E-Y, Honey. It'll tell you if that's been the cheapest price that thing has been at over the last 3 months, over the last year of whatever product you're looking at. And you can even have it set an alert to be like, oh, when it gets back down to this price, let me know, because then I'll buy it at that price. So those are some quick, simple ways that I know.
I think Honey is a free service, and it does exactly that. It looks for discounts. It looks for wherever the cheapest place is. I think they make their money off of you going to this place to buy the product, and they make their money off of the vendor who you bought it from. So
yeah, affiliate, whatever.
Free thing that you could do there. But I think that's a good amount of information on some quick tips to save you money. I think as we go on, saving money is kind of a big deal for us. You know, we have the mindset of also, you know, like, can I make $1 million or can I save $1 million? And obviously, yes, you could do both. But if you look for ways to do both, then sure, $2 million, no problem.
Yeah, no problem at all. Go get it, Tiger. I expect it by next week. If you guys have specific industry-specific questions about what you want to learn about, write them below in the comments. Or specific tips on certain things. Like, I need to know how to save on gym memberships or whatever. We will dive more deeply into certain things that you list down below. Just let us know. We want to hear from you guys. Tell us what we look like, if I'm looking better now or washed out like in other videos. But hit us back. We want to hear from you guys, because this is about you and my basic money answer to your shit. So just don't buy shit.
And if you like what you heard, leave a like, and as always, subscribe. We're running out of battery, so we're gonna go. See you next time.
Bundle up, take off clothes, do whatever.